This is the Chemistry 121 lab safety video for titration of a solution of vinegar. In this lab, you will be experimentally determining the concentration of acetic acid in an unknown sample of vinegar using titration and phenolphthalein as a pH indicator. You will be using sodium hydroxide, a corrosive chemical, so safety goggles should be worn at all times. Caustic or corrosive chemicals will damage your skin, so care should be used when handling these chemicals. If sodium hydroxide does come in contact with your skin, rinse your skin with water immediately. In this lab, you'll be using a technique called titration to add a precise amount of 0.1 molar sodium hydroxide to neutralize all of the acetic acid present in a sample of vinegar. When the moles of sodium hydroxide added to the sample of vinegar is equal to the moles of acetic acid in the sample, the pH indicator will change color, and you will have reached what is called the endpoint. From the known concentration and volume of sodium hydroxide used, you will be able to calculate the molarity of acetic acid in the vinegar sample. For this titration, the sodium hydroxide, or the titrant, will be measured using a burette that allows you to precisely measure the initial volume and the final volume readings of sodium hydroxide. This burette at the top starts with 0.0 milliliters and goes to the bottom with 50.0 milliliters. If you measure the initial volume and the final volume of sodium hydroxide during the experiment, you can calculate the volume of sodium hydroxide added by taking final volume minus initial. Before you begin the titration, rinse the burette and the flask with deionized water to remove any contaminants. Then rinse the burette with sodium hydroxide and the volumetric pipette with vinegar sample before adding 20.0 milliliters of vinegar sample to the Erlenmeyer flask. In order to make the color change easier to see, you'll add about 20 milliliters of deionized water to increase the volume of sample without changing the moles of acetic acid present. Then add 3 drops of phenolphthalein to the Erlenmeyer flask and begin the titration. Start by recording the initial volume of sodium hydroxide, and then slowly add sodium hydroxide while gently swirling the flask to cause the sodium hydroxide and acetic acid to mix. Continue to add sodium hydroxide until the indicator begins to change color. Then slow down and add sodium hydroxide 1 drop at a time until the color change persists for 10 seconds or more. You'll then record the final volume in the burette and calculate the volume of sodium hydroxide used. You will complete this titration 3 times with different samples of vinegar. After the lab is complete, all liquid waste should be disposed of in the waste container in the fume hood. Do not pour chemicals down the drain. The only substance that can be poured down the drain is tap water and pure deionized water. Before you leave, clean, dry, and put all equipment back where you found it, whether it's a cart, your box, or a shelf. Wipe down your lab bench and wash your hands. Remember, a safe lab is a happy lab.